Alright, we are back from spring break, so we are going to start with Unit 12 with another fun-filled, action-packed, non-flipped Algebra 2 classroom video with me. That's Coach Goo with a twisted ankle. Alright, here we go. So we're going to be doing adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials on the day. Alright, so we're going to start with adding polynomials. Here we go. Adding polynomials. This should be a review for you. And there's nothing really special when it comes to adding polynomials here. So we're going to write an example right here. Find the sum of 7x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x and 3x cubed minus 11x plus 2. So they don't always give you just equations for you to work out, right? Sometimes they write it in a little word, like a slightly like a word question. Like this, find the sum. What does find the sum mean? What's a sum? Addition, that's right. So that's all you gotta take from here. You're doing addition, right? So when you're adding polynomials, there's nothing really special you have to look out for. You're just gonna literally write them all down and add them. So like this, I'm only gonna, by the way, there's vertical and horizontal way of adding and subtracting. I'm only going to show you horizontal because horizontal is always applicable. Vertical, you wouldn't always use that. Okay, so here we go. We are going to do 7x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x. All right, we're adding, right? So I have to add that second expression. How do I add the second expression? What would I write?
Minus squared.
Plus?
Oh, you're adding the...
I'm adding the rest, yeah, so I just want to know what should I write? Plus, we already wrote the 7x cubed and all that stuff. 3x cubed, right? And what would the rest be?
Minus 11x plus 2.
Right, exactly. So when we're adding, you just write them exactly as they are. The 3x cubed, right, that's positive, right? So that's why we have to put a plus sign in front of that when we're adding it together. Right, but adding is very simple. You just write the two expressions as they're given to you. And then you're going to just add everything together by, what do we need to do here? Right, we're going to combine the like terms. Right, so first term I see here is 7x cubed. Do you see another x cubed? 3x cubed, right. So 7x cubed plus 3x cubed is 10x cubed. Very good. All right, now two common mistakes here when you're doing this is one, you lose track of the terms you've already used. You have to use every single term, right? And another one is when you don't pay attention to the signs and you get the wrong numbers. Okay, so pay attention to the signs, positive or negative, and then make sure you use all the terms. So far, a good strategy that I like to use is I cross out what I've already used. Okay, so we just took care of the 7x cubed, right? And the 3x cubed. So there we go. Next, we have the negative 4x squared. Do you see any other x squared terms there? No, you don't. So what do I do? I just write minus 4x squared. There we go. So I'm going to cross this one out now because I just used that one, that term. Next I see plus 5x. Is there another x term? Minus 11x, right. So 5x minus 11x is? Negative 6x. Very good. Cross those ones out. And lastly, I have a plus 2, right. And so this is your answer right here. 10x cubed minus 4x squared minus 6x plus 2. All right. Simple, simple. So let's go to subtracting polynomials. Now what you're going to have to remember when you're subtracting polynomials is that you are going to distribute the minus sign to all the terms being subtracted. You have to distribute the minus sign to all the terms that are being subtracted. Okay, so let me write the example. It's going to be find the difference between 6x to the fourth minus 2x squared plus 3x and 4x to the fourth minus 9x squared plus 7. Alright, so right here it says find the difference. What does that mean? Subtraction. That is correct. So, how would I write this equation? What would this equation look like? It's going to be the first expression. We don't need to change anything about that, right? So 6x to the fourth minus 2x squared plus 3x. Now, what would I write for the rest of my equation, though? Minus 4x to the fourth, right? And then what follows after that? Plus 9x squared. And then? Minus 7. Why do we do that? Because look, we're subtracting, right? Which means technically you're putting a minus, right here, right? In front of your second expression. That minus has to distribute to every term inside the parentheses, which would change the sign on every single term there, right? That's why we ended up with negative 4x to the fourth, positive 9x squared, and negative 7. All right? So that's what's happening there. Exactly, yes. You're changing all the signs. Okay, so now we just have to solve this by doing what? What are we? There's no distributing here. Combining the like terms, right. So first, let's start with a 6x to the fourth. Are there any other x to the fourth terms?
Yeah.
Where?
Negative 4.
Negative 4x to the fourth, right. Make sure you keep the signs, okay? Because if you said like 4x, 6 plus 4 is 10. But that's not what it is, right? It's 6x to the fourth minus 4x to the fourth, which is?
2.
Right. Okay, next, we have negative 2x squared. Are there any other x squared terms? Plus 9x squared, right. So negative 2x squared plus 9x squared is going to be? Plus 7x squared, very good. Okay, plus 3x, do you see any other x terms? Are there any other x terms? No, so we're just going to write plus 3x. And lastly, we have minus 7, right. So there's the answer right there. 2x to the fourth plus 7x squared plus 3x minus 7. Now, something that you need to know, understand what it is standard form. Standard form. So all your answers, oh wow, it's not high school answers, okay. Answers should always be in standard form. Does anybody know what standard form for a polynomial is? What does that mean? A certain way you write your answers. This is standard form. Does anybody know what that is? Any guesses? Alright, watch this. I'm going to write that exact same answer, okay? Like this, though. Watch this one. What if I wrote like this? 3x plus 7x squared minus 7 plus 2x to the fourth. Notice, these are the exact two same things, right? These two are the same. But what I just wrote is not in standard form. Why do you think that is? Right, that's right. So it has to be in order with the highest exponent to the least. Very good. So standard form means you're going to line up the terms in order of highest exponent to least. Very good. So that is what standard form is. So let's look at an example of this. If we did 5x cubed plus 12 plus 6x squared minus 3x minus 2 plus 15x squared. All right, how would I solve this question? Right, distribute the minus sign. See, now that we see it like an equation, right, it's very easy to see that you have to distribute the minus sign. So we're going to end up with 5x cubed plus 12 plus 6x squared. What would happen over here?
Minus 3x.
Right?
Plus 2.
Okay. Right, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to write our answer, right? So remember, you want to write your answer in standard form with the highest exponent to the lowest. What is the highest exponent in there? X cubed, right. So what are my x cubed terms? Bless you. What? 5x cubed, right. So 5x cubed comes first. What is the next highest exponent I see there?
6.
X squared. And where are my x squared terms? 6x squared and? Right, minus negative 15x squared, right. So what is that going to total to be? Negative 11x squared, very good. What's the next highest exponent? X, which one's that? Where's the term? Negative 3x, so we just write that. And lastly, what do I have? Right, the 12 plus 2, which makes? Plus 14, there we go. So there's my answer in standard form. Highest exponent to lowest, 5x cubed minus 11x squared minus 3x plus 14. Alright, so for a slightly interesting question, we're going to do... Alright, find the perimeter of the rectangle in terms of x. So here's my rectangle. Alright, one of the sides is going to be x squared plus 2x. The other side is going to be 5x plus x squared. So how would I find perimeter? How do you find perimeter of something? Right, you add all the sides together. So what would my equation be here then? Or how would I get my perimeter here? So what do I write after this?
Just 2 parentheses x squared plus 2x.
Okay, so that's right. Yeah, so you can just write 2 times each of those side lengths, and then, yeah, as Ronnie said, you need to add them together, right? So we have to have a plus sign in between those two. So there it is. Yeah, that would give us our perimeter, right? Because we have 2 of these 5x plus x squared sides, and we have 2 of these x squared plus 2x sides. So how would I solve this? Distribute. So 2 times, this is no calculator, 2 times 5x is? And then 2 times x squared is? 2x squared. Plus 2x squared. Okay, then we have 2 times x squared, which is? So plus 2x squared. And then we have, finally, 2 times 2x. Alright, so there it is. We have 10x plus 2x squared plus 2x squared plus 4x, and what will my final answer be? 4x squared.
Sorry, yeah, 4x squared, and then
plus 14x, right. When you combine the like terms, you end up with 4x squared, because that's 2x squared plus 2x squared, and then we have 10x plus 4x, which makes 14x. Now, one thing you got to make sure is, remember, when you're writing perimeter or area or things like that, you need units, right? They didn't give you any units, so what do you think you would write? Does anybody know? Do you know what the default thing that you write is when they don't give you units? It's just units. You just write units. So the answer is 4x squared plus 14x units. Right? Because normally they tell you, okay, the side is whatever feet, right? Or inches. And then you write inches as your final answer. But when they don't give you anything, then you write units, because there has to be a unit, you just don't know what it is.
So if you don't, then
You're going to get that big -1. Oh boy. Got a lot of people already guilty of that on le test. Not sure about this class, but other class. People who didn't want to write their dollar signs. Or they wanted to write dollar signs when we're talking about frogs or whatever it was. I can't remember what was on the test.
Yeah, it was probably frogs.
Alright, so now we're going to go into multiplying polynomials. Hello? Okay, so the next part is the multiplying. Multiplying polynomials. Okay, the key with multiplying polynomials is that you're going to be distributing. Distribute. Alright, so there's many different ways to distribute, but you have to distribute. Alright, so let's take a look at some examples. We're going to take a look at 6 different examples, or there's a couple of different ones in here. 6. So you can see all the different situations that you will be put into. First is going to be 3x squared times x cubed plus 4. Alright, so remember you have to distribute, right? So how would I distribute here?
3x squared.
Right, 3x squared times x cubed, what would that be? 3x to the 5th. That's right. When you're multiplying the variables, you add the exponents. So you got it right. There you go. Yeah, but she said 5. 3x to the 5th. That's right. And then 3x squared times 4, which would be? So plus 12x squared. And there is your answer. Alright, next example, number 2. Boom, is going to be negative 4x squared times negative 3x plus 8 minus 2x squared. So same thing, we have to distribute. There's more terms, but we're still distributing, right? This negative 4x squared needs to multiply to everything inside the parentheses. So we start with negative 4x squared times negative 3x. What does that give me? 12x to the cube. That's right. Because we add the power of 2 to the invisible power of 1. Next, we got to do negative 4x squared times 8, which is negative 32x squared, right? And lastly, we're going to do negative 4x squared times negative 2x squared, which is 8x to the 4th. Because negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8, yeah. Okay, but is that my answer? Do I leave it like that?
No, standard form.
Right. Okay, you jumped on that one, but yeah, you've got to write standard form, which would be?
It would be 8x to the 4th power plus
12x cubed, right?
And then 32x.
And there you go. That's the answer in standard form and everything. Very good. So these are pretty simple, you know, because it's just a monomial multiplied to a polynomial. You just distribute. So next we're going to do... Yes, greatest to least. Next we're going to multiply 2 polynomials like this. 2x plus 3y times 7x minus 4y. So same thing, we still need to distribute. Every term in the first set of parentheses needs to multiply, distribute to every term in the second set of parentheses. This is where it looks like a moon, you know. Alright, so how do we start? We're going to multiply 2x times 7x, which is 14x squared, right. Next, we're going to multiply 2x to the negative 4y, which gives me negative 8xy. Okay, so we took care of the 2x. Now we're going to go to the positive 3y. So we're going to take this plus 3y and multiply it to what? 7x. So 3y times 7x is? Do I want to write 21yx though? We're going to rewrite it as 21xy. And why would we write it like that?
Where you combined it with that.
Exactly, yeah. Because now it's in the same order as that second term, and that will remind us to combine them. All right, and last we've got the plus 3y times the negative 4y, which is?
Negative 12y squared.
Right. Negative 12y squared, that's right. All right, so now I have to combine my like terms to get my final answer. So what is my final answer going to be?
You combine the 14 with 12.
No, because the 14 is x squared and the 12 is y squared. So you just leave 14x squared, right? You can combine the negative 8xy and the 21xy to make what? Right, plus 13 xy, and then finally minus 12 y squared. And there we go. We've used all the terms. There we go. All right, number 4. This is one where a lot of people make a common mistake. Yeah, because the x and the y, each of them is an exponent, so technically there's a 2, right? 2 exponents, so it really doesn't matter here. And if you leave it in this way, where you have the x squared and the y squared at the beginning and end, people know that this is a factored. You can factor it out. All right, so anyways, next one, 5x minus 2 quantity squared. All right, 5x minus 2 quantity squared. How am I going to solve this one? Because a lot of people will make a very common mistake on this one.
5x minus 2 twice.
That's right, you got to write 5x minus 2 twice. That is not the same thing as if you just square each term on the inside, which is what some people want to do. People want to write 25x squared plus 4, that's my answer. No, that's not the answer. All right, so we have 5x minus 2 times 5x minus 2. So to solve this, we're going to distribute. So we're going to go 5x times 5x, which is? Okay, and then we have 5x times negative 2. Right? Okay, so we're done with the 5x. Now we go to the negative 2. So we have negative 2 times 5x. And lastly, negative 2 times negative 2. Plus 4, that's right. Okay, so let's combine like terms to get our final answer. Do you see any other x squared terms besides 25x squared? No, so 25x squared. Next, x terms. What are my x terms here?
Positive 20x or plus 20x? Because negative 10x and negative 10x?
Negative 10x minus 10x would be what?
0?
No.
Negative 20x.
Negative 20x.
Still negative. Not negative or negative and positive.
Negative 10 minus 10 is negative 20. And then we just have the plus 4 at the very end, so plus 4. And there's the answer, 25x squared minus 20x plus 4. Alright, so things get a little more hard to keep track of when the terms get longer, but you have to do your best to keep track. So for example, we have x minus 2 times x squared minus 3x plus 5. Now there's going to be a lot more terms. You've got to make sure that you actually include all of them. All right, so here, what are we going to be multiplying first? Right, which makes... What is x times x squared? X cubed, that's right. Next, we're going to multiply x times... Right, times negative 3x. Whoa, wait a second. Which gives you? Right? And last, we're going to multiply x by, which gives you?
5x.
Plus 5x. Okay, so we're done with the x, right? Now we go to the negative 2. So negative 2 times x squared gives you? Negative 2x squared, right? And then we got negative 2 times negative 3x. Right, plus 6x. And lastly, negative 2 times negative 10, or times, wow. Negative 2 times positive 5 is? Negative 10. Okay, big spoiler. All right. So we're going to combine like terms to get our final answer. So we're going to have x cubed. All right, what are my x squared terms?
Negative 2x and negative 10.
Right, negative 2x squared and negative 3x squared, which gives you? Right. Now what about my x terms? 11x, because 5x plus 6x is 11x. And lastly, minus 10, that's right. X cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 10 is the answer. Find the area of the rectangle in terms of x. So here is the rectangle. One side is going to be x minus 5. The other side is going to be 4x squared plus 9x minus 1. So, how do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width, right. So what are we going to be multiplying here?
X minus 5 times 4x squared.
That's right. We'll multiply these two sides, okay? So our equation is going to be x minus 5 times 4x squared plus 9x minus 1. Alright, so what do we need to do to get our answer? Distribute, right. X times 4x squared is? Okay, then x times 9x is? And lastly, x times negative 1 is going to be? That's right. Okay, then we got to go to the negative 5. So we have negative 5 times 4x squared. Right? And then we have negative 5 times positive 9x. And lastly, negative 5 times negative 1. Plus what?
Plus 5.
Plus 5. Okay, plus 5, there it is. So let's combine our like terms to get our final answer. So what are the x cubed terms here? Right, 4x cubed, okay. What about my x squared terms?
9x and negative 20x squared.
Right, 9x squared and negative 20x squared. What would that combine to make?
Negative 29x squared.
Negative 11x squared. Because negative 20 plus 9. Okay, now what are my x terms? Right, which make?
Negative 45x squared.
Negative 46x. You're just combining them. And then lastly, you got the plus 5, right. Now what do I write for my units, though? Is that what area is? It's just units? Units squared, that's right. Remember, area is always squared, right? So units squared should be your answer. If you were doing volume and they didn't give you units, you'd write units cubed, just like that. So there it is, 4x cubed minus 11x squared minus 46x plus 5 units squared. That's going to end these notes. So until next time, see you then. Peace!